On this edition of Alberta Dugout Stories, the podcast, Baseball Alberta has a new executive director. We catch up with Tam Rosnau to talk about her new gig, her aspirations, and dealing with the pandemic. Welcome to episode 91 of Alberta Dugout Stories, the podcast. I'm Joe McFarland. Earlier this year, Baseball Alberta announced Darren Dekinder was retiring after a 10-year run as executive director. The longtime coach and umpire was applauded widely for his contributions to the game, including overseeing a massive growth in the sport in this province over the last few years. However, it left a major hole at the top of the organization. Enter Tam Rosnau. She has an impressive resume working in sport on a variety of levels. She's also very familiar with Baseball Alberta, having served as a program coordinator over the last couple of years. And talk about getting thrown right into the fire. With the COVID-19 pandemic hanging over everyone's head, it's been a game of wait and see from a health and safety perspective, which is tough when you're hoping to plan ahead for a summer on the baseball diamond. We talked about that and much more in this conversation with new Baseball Alberta Executive Director Tam Rosnau. Tam, thanks so much for joining us here on the podcast.
Yeah, thanks for having me.
How excited are you to be taking the reins?
Well, I have to say I am excited. I wish we were under different circumstances at the time, but unfortunately, this is where we're at. But it's definitely a nice step for me moving into a role like this. We've got a great office staff and a great board, and we're looking forward to being able to play baseball and have an actual season like I thought we were going to in 2020.
Well, and that's the interesting challenge that we get to face, and we'll get into that in a second, but I want to backtrack a little bit. You've been with Baseball Alberta for the last couple of years now. Walk us through how you managed to get involved in the first place and how you found yourself applying for this job, let alone getting it.
Sure. So sport has been something that's been a part of my life for as long as I can remember. Growing up in Saskatchewan, a big football family, obviously. I've switched over to the enemies over here in Edmonton now. But it was always a part of what I did. Grew up playing basketball. Came to Alberta, ended up going to school here at Grant MacEwan, playing basketball for their basketball team, and ended up working there in their recreation department, and have just always had a love for sport and organization of sport, and have kind of worked my way through different opportunities and found myself applying for the position as one of the program coordinators here a couple of years ago with Baseball Alberta, and have since been with the team here since then. And Darren, our previous executive director, announced his retirement last October, I believe. And at that point, we kind of looked at the potential for me taking on more of a role, and I continued to take on more throughout the next 6 months. And then when the time came to apply, I did apply and went through the process of interviews and everything, and inevitably became the next executive director.
Did you feel like you had a good shot at it, or were you just kind of thinking, hey, it was nice to put my hat in the ring and maybe better luck next time?
I definitely felt as though I was just a name in the hat. There was a ton of applications that came in and resumes that came in, and a lot of baseball people, a lot of people have been around the organization a long time, and so I definitely didn't feel like I had the upper hand in terms of them just wanting to give it to me. However, I felt like I had an upper hand in the sense that I was right here and had the experience in the office and with our staff and with the processes and running the seasons, and not just having an outside look in, but being able to know how we run this from January 1st to December 31st and what it takes to get through each phase of what Baseball Alberta does.
What's your experience been like with Baseball Alberta over the last couple of years?
It's been really great. At the time that I did come into my previous role, it was definitely hit the ground running. So I guess it's pretty much the same with this one in terms of it's a pretty quick pace. picking things up. But it's been really great. There's some wonderful associations that we are fortunate to deal with that are our members, and they've definitely made transitioning into a role with Baseball Alberta, both roles that I've had here, really quite easy. Really great people to work with, and nice support from Darren, who was the previous executive director. Lots of history, lots of knowledge, as well as our technical director, Sheen Bromley, is pretty much like the baseball guy in the province. You say Sheen, and someone says, "Oh, he coached me." So having those two individuals here in the office to help myself, as well as Ryan Bird and Brendan Smith, who were new at the same time, kind of to help us just hit the ground running and be involved and understand where we're at and how we got to those places. It definitely helped having those two here for so long.
Surprised at all that you ended up going the baseball route, because it sounds like sports are kind of your forte, but here you are kind of taking the lead on the baseball front now.
For sure. So sports just in general have just always been, like I said, a part of my life. So whether it was just picking up a baseball and playing with all the other kids on our street, or heading over to a diamond. We used to play against, the street behind us. We'd go and have like us versus them type stuff. Just lots of memories of that kind of stuff when I was younger. As well, I have two kids, and my oldest son had played a few years of baseball, and I volunteer with the Challenger baseball program out in my community. So I'm very much involved in sport aspect all around. So it ended up being a pretty good fit.
When you look at the state of the game here across this province from an overarching perspective, outside of the pandemic, of course, how would you assess it?
Well, I think for us, in terms of involvement, is we continue to see numbers increasing with kids playing, as well as the amount of females that are entering into the game or starting to pursue it at higher levels. So up until COVID and where we're at, I would say over the 2.5 years that I've been here, I've seen us continue to grow and have a lot of really great opportunities in moving the game forward. So hopefully, when we get out of this, we can pick up where we left off, or if not, we can at least get to where we were and then continue to push forward.
As someone who's been on the front lines, kind of helping with the program development and that kind of thing, what's been key to watching those numbers continue to grow?
I think for us, having programs available and being able to support at all different levels. Running the grassroots programming is super important. And like I said, we've got a lot of really great associations that we have as our members. And so for us, having those connections and being able to get out and do some outreach work and having them running the programs like our Rally Cap program that focuses at that 7U kind of age category, getting the kids in early, getting the house league programs established, and then building the programs after that, and having the opportunity for them to move into a AA setting and potentially one day onto a AAA team. But understanding the importance of all the levels. Not every kid is going to be a AAA player, so having the opportunity for them to have house league within the different associations is really important.
One of the things that I've noticed is that you have strong partnerships with some of the smaller communities, which are now starting to sprout back up again, where they might not have been as strong maybe a decade ago.
Yeah, so we do have a lot of really, really great smaller, a lot of our smaller communities and smaller associations are real baseball communities. And what we're seeing is as they're growing and as they're picking up and getting more registrations, it's the coaches or the new presidents in those places who remember playing when they were kids. So exactly like you're saying, they may have at one time had that, and now they're kind of on a resurgence. And it's because those individuals who are now adults and have their own kids, and they're wanting to kind of rekindle those childhood memories for their kids. And it's kind of a resurgence in some areas.
The fascinating thing I've watched is that you're seeing a lot of kids who are having good successes at college level, maybe even getting a little bit of pro experience in, coming back and giving back to that community as well. And it kind of sets the bar so that you can, A, say, hey, he went beyond, sort of the local men's league. And two is, hey, they really want to see the game develop as well.
For sure. So this past year at our AGM, we were actually fortunate enough to have Mike Soroka as our guest speaker, a special guest speaker, and it all kind of came up on a whim in our office one day. during the season when he was kind of on the, oh my gosh, who is this guy and where did he come from? And everyone in Alberta was thinking he came from here. Our office ended up having a conversation. Oh, wouldn't that be cool if we could get him to come and talk, like being an Alberta kid? And I reached out to Brian in our office, who runs our social media, and I'm like, you should message him. And he was like, oh, okay. And we ended up just sending him a DM through Instagram, and he responded, and we ended up just getting the contact for his agent, and we're able to have him out. And he did a phenomenal speech for the kids, talking about, work ethic and hard work and understanding the importance of multi-sport and family and dedication to your craft. And it was wonderful. And he, is a prime example of what you're saying, just that grassroots individual who, found a love for the game, really pursued it, and is now giving back.
Not only that, but you mentioned earlier on about the women's game, for example, and you have such ambassadors for the game with the Nicole Lachanskys of the world, the Kelsey Lallers of the world. I mean, the success level at the girls' level is just something to behold for this province.
Absolutely, and the Alberta girls who are really making their names known with the national team. 3 of the award winners actually this year who were with the Baseball Canada, the women's national team, were actually Alberta players. So really cool. They actually honored Nicole Lachansky, Kelsey Lawler, and as well as the up and comer Ellie Jesperson.
It really has been fantastic to watch from the outside. Unfortunately, as you've kind of alluded to, we've had this wrench thrown in the spoke, so to speak, for the summer. How much of a wrench has it been from your perspective?
Yeah, I mean, unfortunately, day after day, we just kind of keep waiting for more information and are hopeful to get something good out of the information. Looking at this year, prior to everything COVID, we were set to have host the Ray Carter Cup, so that 15U AAA was set to be hosted by Okotoks. We were going to have Fort McMurray hosting the Canada Cup for the older age category. We had Westerns host in Provost at the minor level for the 13U, 15U, and 18U categories. We also had the Westerns 15U AAA was set to be hosted here in Edmonton by NES. So we had a really promising 2020 looking at these opportunities to host and everything. So it's been a tough setback. These communities had put in time already looking at securing hotels and volunteering and getting these events underway. It's something that happens with quite far back from when the actual events would take place. So obviously those were canceled. We were set to host the Baseball Canada convention here in Edmonton. Baseball Alberta was going to be hosting that. Unfortunately, that has been canceled as well, just being unable to travel. And then just, with our associations, it's hard to have to tell our associations and have them tell our kids, we can't play ball right now. Especially when that's all the kids want to do. I mean, we wait for the snow to melt for so long. Yeah. And then it finally does melt, and we still can't play at this point. So it's definitely been a challenge.
And obviously, it's a pause for now as we kind of wait to see how this all plays out. Does it provide a bit of an opportunity from your perspective as well, while you're trying to navigate the here and now, but maybe to plan ahead a little bit, trying to get some battle plans in place for when that green light is eventually given?
Yeah, so our office staff is working hard right now on a return to train protocol. So before we get to any sort of return to play, obviously we need to just look at the return to train model and how we'll be able to do that in order to, or along with respecting the orders and the restrictions that are in place by AHS and the Alberta government. So, big one being that 2 meters. How do we play the game while maintaining a 2-meter distance? How do we play a game with only 15 people? So modifications. So right now we've taken the game component out. We're hearing some promising words from around the province that we should be able to move into some type of training at some point. No direct clarification yet on if that's going to be possible in all locations. Some municipalities have different closure dates for their diamonds and whatnot. But we're putting together some documents to have submitted and approved, hopefully by the government and by AHS, to be able to roll out to our associations. And then they could look for some individual training or some small group settings, potentially a coach with 5 players, in order to be able to follow all the guidelines and restrictions, no shared baseballs, everything like that. And then so that there's time to sanitize everything in between anything that would be shared or touched in that time.
That's obviously one of the moving targets too, is just even from a coaching perspective as well, trying to get them trained up so that they can train their assistants or even the players themselves.
Absolutely. So it adds a whole other element to what we would ask from a volunteer, where these responsibilities now fall and what needs to be done and what all has to take place before we can even think about setting up a drill. So it's definitely outside of what we've always done or anything that's ever taken place. So it's something we're working on. We're hopeful that we'll have some sort of return to train model that associations are able to use. Hopefully this summer. Again, it will be based on approval from the government and AHS, but that's our hope at some point.
How impressed have you been with some of the different associations and that who are still trying to get and reach out to some of those athletes as well, whether it's through videos or whether it's through little teachings, the resources? I mean, there's been so much that's been shared over the last little while here.
For sure. So we know we encourage them to try, whether it's a Google Hangout or a Zoom call or anything that the teams, teammates or coach with some of the team if their team was already picked, to be able to communicate with them. We've also reached out to our associations and teams. Baseball Canada has set up a virtual lab challenge. It's a 7-week program. They're looking at running different challenges each week, and it's going to be across Canada. So they'll be able to age group wise see how they stack up. If a team goes in from Alberta in the 15U category, they'll kind of be able to see how they stack up against other 15U teams from across the country. So a nice option from our NSO that came out to try and engage and bring the country together and have everyone having some fun and still being part of a team while maintaining our social distance.
When you look past COVID and you kind of look at your own bucket list, what would you like to see happen while you have this position at your disposal?
I would definitely like to see us run an actual baseball season. We'll just put that a nice simple one. No, at number one, we'll just put that a nice simple one. We do want to see our registrations obviously pick up where they left off and hopefully increase at some point. We have been working hard with our women's program. We have Chris James, as the technical director. We've brought Barb Northcott on, and I believe they came and did a podcast with you as well, talking about the girls program. They've got some really great ideas and have put some things in place. That's something we're really trying to push, is the opportunity and availability to the females to access the sport. And prior to COVID, they had set up across the province a bunch of one-day clinics, and things were moving really well. So we hope to pick up on that and continue to grow that. On our umpire side, because we can't forget about the umpires, because they are a huge part of the game. We have Ryan working alongside Brandon Strachey, who is our umpire supervisor in Alberta. They're working with their committee to develop some really, really great new opportunities. I probably can't say too much, but they're looking at some online options, even right now for us. Since we haven't been able to deliver clinics in person, they've gone to, supplying the materials through our umpire signing system so that we can still have that engagement. So we just hope to be able to continue that and provide some more opportunities for them as well.
Do you foresee yourself having to maybe liaise with different sports as well before too long? Because there is going to be that green light given, and I'm sure there's going to be a lot of, I'll call it competition, but you also don't want to force some of these young athletes into making decisions so early as to what kind of path they want to take.
Absolutely. So I already there's a ton of collaboration amongst PSOs within the province, and we're fortunate that the building that our office is located in actually does house a number of the provincial sport organizations. So we do have a lot of direct communication with everyone, and it's a constant conversation, and we have a working group even right now through the COVID that continues on. It was developed before, but it works with the sports, physical activity, and recreation sector, and so everyone who's on that committee is able to come in and work together and collaborate.
Fantastic. Final question for you. If you were to take out your crystal ball right now and kind of look ahead to maybe 5 or 10 years down the road, how are you going to gauge success?
I would say definitely, not that you want to put everything back to the situation we're currently in, but I think that if we can come out of this and in a 2 to 3 year marker, we can look back and say, wow, we're even better than we were prior to 2020. And we've established the female program even further, and we've increased our numbers, and we've been able to just reach out and just help the membership get through this time. I think that in itself will be a huge success.
Tam, congratulations again on the new post, and thanks so much for sharing a few of your stories here on the podcast.
Thank you so much for having me.
Thanks again to Baseball Alberta's new Executive Director, Tam Rosnau, for joining us this week. And again, congratulations on the new post. We're certain we're going to be hearing from Tam again soon. We'd also like to thank all of you for downloading and listening. If you haven't already, make sure to subscribe wherever you get your favorite podcasts. We're available on Apple Podcasts, Google Play, Spotify, Stitcher, and Podbean. Until next time, thanks again for all of your support, no matter the platform, of Alberta Dugout Stories.